Hello student, how are you? How was going? Are you ready? We will start a new lesson. Okay students, bring your book, open page number 24. Okay students, open page number 24. We will start a new lesson. Are you ready? Grade 5. Grade 5, we will start a new lesson. Today we have tissue, organs and systems. Okay, tissues, organs and systems. Okay, all of you open page 24. Open page 24 front of you and watch the video what I teach you, and you be careful. We will explanation the organs, tissue and systems. You will understand how our body work. Okay, how our body and how our 10 systems work together. Are you ready? We will start the lesson. Okay students, and bring pencil and notebook to write down some important points as I will tell you. Okay students, today we have tissue, organs and systems in an organism made up of many cells. Similar cells work together. Cells that work together to perform a specific function form a tissue. Some cells are work together. Okay, some our body or animals are work together to perform a specific function form a tissue. Okay, this there are four kinds of tissue in humans. We are our animals have four kinds of tissue that work together. Look at here. We have four kinds of tissue in humans. Most of the mass of animals is muscle tissue. Okay, most our body or animals are mass are include what? Muscle tissue. Muscle tissue is made up of many cells that contract when they receive signals from the brain, while our brain are send the signals to the muscle. That muscle start working and do that function as a brain give. Okay, to the muscles contract when they receive signals from the brain. The contraction and relaxation of the muscle tissue move the skeleton. That signals as a brain give the muscles contraction and relaxation happening. Tissue move the skeleton. Okay, starting the move of the skeleton. This signals that cause muscles tissue to contract travel through another kind of tissue. That signals that the brain give to the muscles contract or transport by what? By a nervous tissue. The nervous tissue is another kind of our tissue, nervous tissue. Okay, nervous tissue, the brain and spinal cord. Our brain and spinal cord, as well as the places where sight or vision, hearing, taste and smell are, and touch begin, are a nervous tissue. Okay students, nervous tissue, the brain and spinal cord. Okay, as well as the places where sight, hearing, taste, smell and touch begin, are smell nervous, are all nervous tissue. the place that our sight and hearing and taste, smell and touch are what are a nervous tissue. Okay, nervous tissue include what? Our all nerves and brain and spinal cord, and the place of the sight, hearing and taste and smell, and while you touch something you directly is hot or cold. This is the sense of the nervous tissue. Okay, students, let's look at the muscle tissue first of all. How? Look at here, all of you. This is the muscle tissue. Look at the picture of the muscle tissue. Do you see, students? This is our first tissue. Some of our cells are make it together. This is and form a tissue. This is a muscle tissue. Do you see? In our body, this is muscle tissue. Muscle tissue. Okay, let's watch the video. Muscle tissue, as I told you, are receive the signals from the brain and start.
Muscle tissue is made up of special muscle cells that have the ability to contract when stimulated, so they can generate a force producing movement. There are three types of muscle tissue in the body: skeletal muscle tissue, cardiac muscle tissue, and smooth muscle tissue. Skeletal muscle tissue is comprised of long cylindrical cells called skeletal muscle fibers that are parallel to one another and are unbranched. These fibers are multinucleated, meaning that they have many nuclei and have alternating light and dark bands called striations.
For your more information to understand, you have three types of muscle tissue: skeleton, cardiac, and smooth. Okay,
skeletal muscle is attached to bones and provides
skeletons, okay, that attached by our muscle tissue. Okay, do you see that attach the bones? Okay,
for voluntary skeletal movement of the body. Cardiac muscle also has striations, but they are short and often are branching. Cardiac muscle cells contain one or two nuclei and are connected by intercalated discs.
Just you understand, we have three type of muscle tissue: skeleton, cardiac, and smooth. Okay, this is our skeleton. Okay, and then as I told you, we have nervous tissue. Our nervous tissue include brain, spinal cord, and the place that where sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch are a nervous tissue. Let me show you what is the nervous tissue. Look at that picture. This is a nervous tissue. First of all, look at this video. You will understand how the nerves work.
Nervous tissue and its functions. If a person unknowingly touches a hot object like a kettle, she immediately pulls back her hand. Why does she do this? This happens as the receptors present in the fingers sense the heat from the kettle. The sensory nerves in the fingers absorb this impulse and transmit it to the spinal cord. From the spinal cord, this impulse passes to the motor neuron, which in turn passes this impulse to the affected muscle in the finger, and the person immediately removes her hand from the kettle. This whole process involves coordination among the nerve cells called neurons. These neurons are found inside the spinal cord.
Students, Do you know why you immediately touch something is hot? Why you directly go back? Because in our body, in our finger, we have a sense of nervous system that you feel, okay, that you feel that is damage your tissue. This is that the function of the nervous system that protected our body to something that harmful. Okay, this is our nervous system function inside our finger. Okay, you feel that thing is hot. Okay, you protect yourself.
And the brain. Now let's learn about neurons. A neuron consists of a cell body called soma. The soma is enclosed by the cell membrane and has a nucleus. There are several thin, thread-like extensions from the cell body called dendrites. The dendrites receive impulses from the adjoining neurons. The other extension from the cell body or soma is a single-branched extension called an axon. Each axon is comprised of a cone-shaped base called an axon hillock that arises from the soma. At the other end, the axon is divided into many branches, from where the signal passing through the axon is transmitted to the other cell via a junction called a synapse. Thus, the information.
Do you see, students, is how they transfer that thing is that the brain function that is harmful. This is electronic between of two cells nervous system
Is received.
How they transfer that is harmful to another cell's body, okay, cell nervous tissue. Do you see how they immediately and directly is very speed to another cell body
By the dendrites and is then sent out through the axon to the neighboring cell. This is how information is transmitted from one cell to another.
This is how the information that the brain sent to the cell for this cell to another is very speed. Okay, now you will feel if you touch something hot or cold, directly your body transfer the information to this cell to another.
To summarize, if we unknowingly touch a hot object, we immediately pull our hand away from it. This process involves coordination among the nerve cells called neurons. A neuron consists of a cell body called soma. There are several thin thread-like extensions from the cell body called dendrites. The other extension from the cell body or soma is a single-branched extension called an axon.
Okay, students, this is the function of the nervous.
In the last module, we took first steps towards understanding the electrical properties of individual neurons. We learned
how the nerves work, okay? And we have another kind of tissue is called connective tissue. Is the third kind of tissue. Connective tissue, it means that connected other organs together. For example, bone to bone, okay? Or our body. This is our third kind of tissue It includes the tissue in bones, okay? Bones, our bones are, or skeleton is connective tissue, cartilage. Cartilage also connective tissue, and tendons between two joints. We have a tendons is also connective tissue, and be careful also our blood inside our animals and body is also connective tissue. Blood also connective tissue. The final, okay, let's look at the connective tissue. You will more understand how they work. Look at here, this is connective tissue. Look at here, this is connective tissue, how our body connected together. For example, our bone also connective tissue, blood connective tissue. Do you see? This is connective tissue. Do you see? This is connective tissue. And we have another kind of tissue is called epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue includes the body covering of animal. Epithelial covering all of the body and some organs inside our body covering by what? Covering by epithelial tissue. It also lines most internal organs, just as cells that work together. Okay, let me show you the epithelial tissue that cover our body. For example, this is what? This is epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue have some layers that form the epithelial tissue. For example, that is microvilli. This is mucus in the global cell, absorptive cells, basement membrane, and this one connective tissue that make it the epithelial tissue. That some layer of tissue make the epithelial tissue. Okay, students, this is epithelial tissue that covering our body and some organs inside our body. Look at here, just a cell that work together form a tissue. Tissues that work together form an organ. Each organ is animal's body made of a several kind of tissue. For example, skins. For example, is an organ. It is made of many layers of epithelial. Okay, students, look at here. Let me show you. For example, this is our skin. This is our skin. Some layers of skin make it what? Make it the epithelial tissue. That is called organs. What is the organ? This is definition of organ. Organs in animal's body made of several kinds of tissue. Skin, for example, is an organ. It's made of many layers of epithelial tissue, as well as muscle tissue, nervous tissue, and cushioning layers of connective tissue. In our skin, we have many of the layers that make it the skin. Okay, this is the organs that some or tissues make it together and connect it together and make it the organs. Each organ is in animal's body perform a major function that keeps the animals alive. The heart, for example, is organ that pump blood throughout the animal's body. Organs that work together to perform a function form a system. Okay, our organ, for example, skin, our other organs that work together perform what? Perform a system. Perform organs that work together perform function, form a system. A human has 10 major of system. You will learn about some of this system in the next two lessons. You will understand how the system works. Some organ are work together and function a system. If you look at this picture, in this diagram you can see the 4 levels of organization in the digestive system. This is our stomach that digestive system and digest our food. This is a specialized cells, and this one similar cells form a tissue. Some of a cells are make together and perform a similar tissue, and this is a tissue, and this one a stomach. This tissue form a part of an organ is stomach. This is our stomach that digests food. The stomach is a part of a system that digests food, transfer digested food into the blood, and remove wastes. This is the function of the digestive system that digest food and transfer digested food into the blood that is necessary for our body and remove wastes. Okay, remove wastes. Okay, students, let me give you a homework. Okay, you should draw this diagram in your notebook and write down the part of the part. Okay, this is the body organization. You will draw this picture inside in your notebook and write down the name of the part. For example, this is a specialized cells, and go on and write down all of the part. Okay, students, if you have any question, ask me in the group. Okay, until the next week, have a good day. Bye bye.